Welcome in Link 2026, and today we'll speak about training, education, formation. My name is Professor Costalat. I'm really proud to host today Dr. Daniel Mantilla from Bucaramanga, Colombia. You spent more than 3 years in Montpellier. We worked together, becoming friends all over the times during this period of time, and then you went back in your center. First question I have to you, how did you use the knowledge you have acquired during your stay in your center? How did you develop your center after coming back?
When I went back to Colombia, it was important to adapt all the knowledge that I got in France and in Montpellier to our region and to our country and to our continent. Adapting is very important to arrive to develop a neurointerventional service with all the knowledge that is the same all around the world. We have to adapt to healthcare system, to patients, and to our culture. Also, to work with colleagues from a different country, it's important because you learn how to discuss and how to give your opinion when there is a complicated patient that you need to treat with a complicated pathology. It's important to learn how to discuss, talk about what are the best possible treatments and make a decision.
Especially regarding simulation itself. How did you manage to incorporate the simulation technology into your center?
Well, historically, my colleagues that were already working in my service, they didn't use simulation for clinical use in clinical practice. So when we started with the Sim&Cure software in our service, I introduced my colleagues the software. I started using it, and by experiencing the use of the simulation for the treatment of patients with intracranial aneurysms, everybody started looking the advantages of using it. So we arrived to reduce surgical times, also to show the patients the treatments we will do to them, and to share with all the team the treatment plans. Using simulation helps the communication between the colleagues, the communication between other specialties and our specialty, and also with the patients, so that we can show them what are the surgeries we are doing.
Yes, this is a very important point to also have noticed, is that it's also a way to make the patient understand what we will do in his head, because the drawing sometimes of the angiogram itself is not clear enough, to allow the patient to understand what we will deliver into his brain vessels. Now you have been trained initially by us, but now you are the one that need to perform training for the other guys of Colombia and South America. How did you organize your project of training at a global scale in your country?
It has been a very interesting process, starting training new colleagues after you have your own experience in treating patients with neurovascular pathologies. We started training new colleagues in Colombia and in Latin America. It has been an interesting process because in the region we need more people to treat patients with neurovascular pathologies. We started in 2019 training our first Colombian people. Now they are all around the country, and we are training now people from other countries in Latin America. In that process, clinical practice is important. Simulation has been also an important point, because for educational purposes, we can see that using simulation software in our angio suite, the learning curves may be shorter. They may accelerate the learning process of our fellows. Also, between old and young fellows, it's a good way of sharing surgeries. And for one patient that you are treating, you can do 10 or more simulations of different treatments. So from a learning and educational point of view, you can learn with the same patient, even if you do one type of surgery.
Yeah.
Simulating the other possibilities of surgery is part of that educational process.
And beyond the digital simulation, you also have the capability to simulate the patient's vessels on a hard model. So this is also part of the training solution you're offering to your colleagues?
Yes, using silicon printed models or 3D printed models is part of that simulation educational process, virtual simulation from one part, and after hands-on surgeries in 3D printed models that we use the same aneurysm that the patient has to do the hands-on training, and mixing virtual and hands-on training has been important in that educational process that we have been building.
Thank you very much, Daniel. If I understand, you use simulation at different degree. You use it to pre-plan the treatment on the patient, to offer the patient the best therapeutic option. Use the simulation also to start a comprehensive dialogue with the patient itself and to make him accept the choice you have made for him. And you also use simulation, hardware and software in order to expand your expertise, to share your expertise, to train new physicians around your country.
Yes, for the patients, it has been also good to explain them, for educational, to train new people, and for myself also in our professional own learning curve. It has been part of the process.
So what do you foresee as the next step for simulation?
So next steps in simulation, I think, are artificial intelligence that we can predict with some models, with all the information that we have from the simulated surgeries, that we can predict what can be the best treatment for this specific patient, related not only with the geometrical parameters, but also with clinical and pathological antecedents of the patient.
In order to anticipate the outcome and the healing process.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and we see you next year.
Thank you, Vincent.